This is going to sound crazy as hell. I don't care about my book one bit. Like, not, it's not something I think about. I didn't need advertising. I didn't need Wieden. I didn't need a book. I just needed a life. Started off as a computer science major. So I was programming originally, and then I kind of decided to shift into graphic design because my heart had always been in the arts. Someone that I had known from the 12 program, and he sat me down. He's like, Ed, they were going to fire you. I was like, what? I think talent is important, but I think the most important thing is that you have a point of view. There's a lot of honesty that'll come out of hate. A lot of honesty. You gotta find your dark side. You don't have to sacrifice. It's not necessary. And I'll be honest with you, I wish I didn't have to.
Welcome to the Who's Not Here podcast. I'm your host, Anthony O'Neill, and today I'm joined by guest Edward Harrison, award-winning writer, creative director, a Wieden+Kennedy alum, where he spent more than a decade creating some of Nike's most iconic work, including the Kobe and LeBron Puppets campaign, Nike Unlimited 1, 2, and 3, Nike Possibilities, and The Future is Fast, to name a few. But this conversation wasn't about Nike. It was about opportunity and sacrifice. It was about turning down Wieden+Kennedy, leaving Baltimore for Portland, betting on yourself when the odds say otherwise, finding your voice, finding your dark side, and learning what it really takes to build a creative career that lasts. The purpose of Who's Not Here is simple: to learn from the people behind the work, the mentors, the allies, partners, creatives, and culture shapers who gave us a shot, threw us a brief, opened the door, got us in the room where it happened, and gave us honest feedback needed to stay there. These conversations are for you. Let's get after it.
I do want to tell this story, but I feel like I didn't answer your last question, so I'm going to be really quick about it. Um, when I got the call from Wieden to come out to do the 12 program, it did blow my mind. I went back, I told my wife at the time, I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity. Things are tough out here. This would be awesome. Turned out that it was going to be it was a school, and I was going to have to pay them $15,000 to do the school at Wieden. And after that, there would probably be a job offer, but it wasn't guaranteed. We had a 2-year-old at the time, and she said that I would need a guarantee. And we don't have $15,000, and I don't want to move to Portland. All of this was valid. And so I came home, I thought about it. And 2 years later, they a lot of different circumstances, they invited me out again. And they made a job offer to me the second time. First it was freelance, then it became a full offer.
You were going, not to cut you up, but you were going back and forth from Portland to Baltimore, without a full-time job. You said.
This was only 2 trips. I went out once
for
the 12 program, and then 2 years later, I came back out again for the second opportunity.
Okay.
And this time I had receipts. I told my wife, well, it's a job offer. At the time, I think it was $60,000. I was like, yeah, that would go a long way in Portland. She wasn't trying to hear it. And she had her reasons. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I was looking at something that I had never seen before. A good paying job with the opportunity for advancement, which isn't really what I was thinking about. But also, these people were going to allow me to be myself. They didn't want me to change. They didn't want me to be something different. All they wanted was for me to write and use my voice. They didn't care that I didn't go to ad school. They didn't care that I had never written anything before. They were just like, just keep doing this thing that you did. Do more of that for us, because we really like it. And I had never experienced that before. It was a brand new creative experience. And it just felt like I was every fiber inside of me said, I can't walk away from this a second time. I went out once for the 12 program, and then 2 years later, I came back out again for the second opportunity.
Okay.
And this time I had receipts. I told my wife, well, it's a job offer. At the time, I think it was $60,000. I was like, Yeah, that would go a long way in Portland. She wasn't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
Uh, and she had her reasons. Um, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I was looking at something that I had never seen before. Um, a good paying job with the opportunity for advancement, which isn't really what I was thinking about, but also uh, these people were going to allow me to be myself. They didn't want me to change. They didn't want me to be something different. All they wanted was for me to write and use my voice, my voice.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care that I didn't go to ad school. They didn't care that I had never written anything before. They were just like, do just keep doing this thing that you did. Do more of that for us because we really like it. And I had never experienced that before. It was a brand new creative experience. Um, and it just felt like I was like, every fiber inside of me said, I can't walk away from this a second time. I promised myself the first time I said, listen, I'm gonna turn this down for you, baby, because I think you make a lot of sense.
So you turned first trip, go there, do it. How many weeks was it?
The first trip, it was only a few days. It was like 3 days in Portland.
Okay. Few days in Portland, but that's not the 15,000.
No, that was if we've accepted you into the school. If you would like to do the school, it will be $15,000. And quiet as kept. Dan Wyden I ran into Dan Wyden. We met. We had a long conversation. There was a dinner. For whatever reason, he liked me. So Dan Wyden had told the administrator, "We're going to offer this guy a scholarship. He doesn't have to pay anything."
Oh,
Um, but that didn't change the conversation with my wife one bit. But yeah, that was 3 days. There was an offer. I turned it down. I thought my wife made good points, but I said to her, I said, "Listen, if this comes around again, I feel like I'm going to have to take it."
By this point, you turn it down. You go. What's the time difference? Like, how much time between the first offer and the second offer?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. 2 years. And then those 2 years, I really worked. I doubled down on my business. I went hard. I got they had this thing in Baltimore. It was a small business administration was offering classes for really low cost to minority run businesses. So I'd been going to classes. I had an advisor. He was giving me all these advice and things to do. As the business was doing well, it was growing. We were making money. I hired my cousin. Things were flowing. Um, but then Wyden came knocking again.
Hmm. Did they just keep you in their Rolodex, or were you reaching out to them? Like, how were you just being persistent, showing them work that you had done, being in contact with Dan Wyden?
Nah. I had a friend that I was in college with, and he really wanted to work at Wyden. So he was the one that was always on their website, looking for stuff. And he had found this thing they were doing called Seeking. And he said, "Ed, Wyden's doing this thing called Seeking. You want to go on their website and mess around?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's mess around." And they were doing this thing where they were just looking for talented people with big ideas, and they wanted to bring them all together in one place to talk. That was it. Just to share ideas, share stories, share conversations, no job offers, just talk. So we go on the website and we're just messing around, just, just goofing off, right? Not being serious about it. But when we were done, I decided to go back onto the website and actually put in the thing. And I honestly, dude, I got to tell you, and I told my wife this 1,000 times, and she never believed me. I was not trying to get an invitation. I just wrote something that was really honest at the time, and they responded to it, and they invited me back out, and I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. So I went back out, and it was exactly what they promised. It was a lot of people who were doing big things at the time, like the guy who started Twitter was there. There were just a lot of people at the time who were just doing really cool things. And we talked, we conversated, we ate, we shared ideas, we exchanged, thoughts. I felt like, man, I don't belong here. There's a lot of really smart people here doing cool things. I'm not sure what, but they did go through and we all presented the work that we shared to get there. And I shared my work, and my work was I wrote a letter to God.
You still have that letter somewhere, or is that like?
I do. And because I consider myself an artist, it wasn't a handwritten letter. It was a I bought some fiberboard and I painted it
Okay.
onto the fiberboard, you know, and they responded to it. Um, and they made me an offer to come out. I think I can't remember. I think there were like 20 of us that had done the seeking thing, and they only invited two of us back. Made job offers to two of us, me and another guy. And they invited me out to write for the Hyperdunk campaign. I told them, I was like, listen, this is really generous of you all. I really appreciate this, but I don't know how to do advertising. I've never written anything. In fact, I'm a graphic designer. They were like, yeah, come on in. Let's see what you got. We're gonna let you try some things for a week. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. And that's how it all started. My wife at the time, she didn't appreciate any of it. She didn't appreciate me sending that letter. She didn't appreciate me going out there for it was 2 weeks.
Okay.
They were paying me freelance rate, which was really small. I think they were paying me like $675 a day.
Okay.
But to me, it was the most money I'd ever made. And she really didn't appreciate it when they made me a job offer. And that's where things went south, because there was no argument that I could make in her mind that would validate what I was doing. In her mind, it was, you're abandoning your family. I don't want to move to Portland. Your children are here. What are they going to do in Portland? We don't have a home there. We don't have family there. And I was like, listen, all right, these are all super valid. But in my defense, if I do come back to Baltimore, financially, I don't have a lot of options. We were just hitting the recession. None of my clients were calling back. And I was on the verge of borrowing money from my mom to pay bills, and probably going and working at the grocery store to just get a 9 to 5. That's where it was. And I it was like there's a job right here. They want to pay me $60,000 a year to do this thing.
I remember being in the same position, coming out to the West Coast from Chicago. Wife had a gig. I had a gig, and I had talked to a recruiter a year before being in Chicago, and the style of work that we could create in Chicago was very limited at the time. There's been some shops now there, that are doing some great work. But at the time, they were like, you got to go to New York, or you got to go to LA, you got to go to the coast, period. And I remember being like, okay, like the next opportunity, I got to go. I happened to meet Jeff Goodby, and Jeff Goodby invited me and my partner out, Ronnie Castor, out to for an interview. We came out, we did the interview, and I was just like, yo, Ronnie, this is the opportunity that we've been looking for. We got to walk through this door. What are we going to say? At the time, he wasn't married. I was married. I just had a baby, similar situation as yours, and being like, she's going to say no. There's no way that she's going to want to move. I'm already thinking in my head, like, I'm going to give me a little studio. I got to go. I got to do this. This is the opportunity. It's almost like going to Harvard, I don't know, Goodby and Wieden, we'll talk about that. But, those shops, like, they don't come knocking every day. So you got to go. I just feel like for us to be able to have this conversation, the work that you have created, like, if you don't take that chance, what does your book look like? What does your career look like? Who is Brother Edward?
To this day, and this is going to sound crazy as hell, I don't care about my book one bit. Like, it's not something I think about. The only reason I have a website is because I was going to leave Wieden and go freelance, and my boy told me, well, you got to have a website, or else you're not going to be able to get work. I was like, all right, fine, cool. I'll throw something together. And if I had it to do over again, I would happily have traded that experience for a if I had just had a regular creative job in Baltimore and could have stayed with my kids all day long, man,
Yeah.
all day. I didn't have to be in advertising,
Yeah.
but
Gotcha.
I just was not getting any opportunities to be creative in Baltimore or the surrounding area, DC, Virginia. None of it was popping off for me.
Mhm.
I didn't need advertising. I didn't need Wieden. I didn't need a book. I just needed a life. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to live and be happy, feel like I was happy, raise my boys, and not repeat um, the cycle of young black boys without a father, and which I failed at. You know, you know what I'm saying. So the trade off to me uh, is not something that I wanted, and it's not something I'm proud of. Now my boys know me. I spend a lot of time with them, but I wasn't there with them day to day, and that's not. It's not. It's not equal at all. I would happily trade all of this.
I mean, you needed a book because you were thinking about going freelance, but for somebody breaking into the industry, like you need a book, like, you know,
Yeah,
yeah. So like, you know, from your
yeah.
position, you can say that, but like, you know, how do you, I want to hear why you don't need a book, but like why others may need a book, or in your case, maybe you just need one piece of work that really expresses who you are and how you think.
Um, well, listen, I want to recognize the privileged position that I was in when I started. Um, Through whatever series of events, I ended up in a very privileged position. Wyden had come knocking at my door twice, and when I did show up, they threw me right into Nike. And I
Yeah.
didn't ask for Nike. In fact, I wanted to work on Old Spice, um, and someone said, "No, no, no, let's send you up to Nike." And at the time, I thought, "Man, that's some racist shit right here. Like I'm tall and I'm black, so now I gotta be on Nike." He's like, I want to do this funny shit over here on Old Spice. That's all the ads that I was seeing on TV were Old Spice, and they were popping off. We were laughing. Me and my boys were laughing at Old Spice all the time. So I was really like, I wanted to do that. But they sent me to Nike, and it
They
just so
said,
happened.
you say it like, it's so funny you say it like that. Like people would die and be like, wait, Nike? What? Forget about Old Spice. Like
I
you said,
Yeah,
I want Old Spice. And you're like, all right, I'll take Nike. Like,
dude, it wasn't even a question. It was almost like it was military esque. You know, it was like, no, we're gonna send you to Nike. It was like that was my assignment. There was no, would you like to work on Nike? It was like, no, no, we're gonna send you up to the fifth floor to work with the Nike fellas. Um, and I wasn't a Nike fan at the time. Like I didn't own any Nikes. I had Adidas. I thought Adidas was popping off. I was like, man, ain't nobody wearing Nikes. And that's the attitude I brought to it because my first assignment, they wanted me to work on the Hyperdunks, and I was like, number one, and this is really dumb, but I'm gonna get back to your question. I said, number one, that's a dumb name. Who gonna call a shoe a Hyperdunk? Who gonna buy that stuff? And they showed me the prototype of the shoe. I was like, number two, that's an ugly shoe, man. They don't look like no Jordans. This ain't no Jordans. What y'all doing? Um, and they thought for sure that they had brought the wrong guy in. I wrote some stuff. I understood what they were asking from me, and I wrote some stuff that I thought was honest to me. Um, and the scripts that I wrote for the Hyperdunk that no one ever saw, it was called the Whack Brothers, and they were really just me and my two cousins sitting around talking about the Hyperdunks and how stupid they looked, and what is fly wire and what is all this dumb stuff. And then I just so happened I wrote a cameo for Kobe. And Kobe would just happen to be there. It wasn't like he was the star. The star was the three of us, and just living at home with our moms, and just just the things that we might say to each other when we're looking at the shoe. And Kobe was always the voice of reason. It's like, I don't think it's dumb. I think it's a cool shoe. And like, ain't nobody talking to you, Kobe. And they really liked that. They thought that was cool because I just wrote the scripts based on how I really felt about the shoe. And to their credit, they were like, "This is fun. We might be able to sell this."
hmm.
And they took those scripts to Nike. I don't think I changed anything about it really.
Really?
And Nike, the folks at Nike were like, I wasn't in the room for this, but the folks at Nike were like, Um, we don't know who the new guy is, but we need more of him. We need a lot more of him. Um, and that's the same day they made me an offer. You probably heard the name Des Marzette, but Des was my strategist at the time. And Des, I give Des all the credit, man. That Des got me through. Um, I could talk to him about anything. He would come to me and be like, because I, coming from Baltimore, I had a different, my way of talking was very different. And he would come to me and be like, "Yo, you can't. I know what's up, but you can't be saying that kind of stuff in meetings, man. And people, number one, they don't understand it, and number two, there's a certain decorum." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What should I do?" He's like, "Listen, don't change up, but do a little this, a little that. Learn how to work the room." Um, Des gave me man, he mentored the hell out of me, um, and I give him all the credit. I don't know if I would have made it without Des. Point in my career at the time, and I'll try to keep this really short, but um, I think to this day that some CD confused me with another black person in the agency, and they said that for another project, they said, "Oh, he's loud, he is brash, the ideas aren't good, he's too stiff, he won't come back with different ideas." And none of this ever got back to me initially. I just was doing some work, and then someone that I really trust said, "Hey, you should go meet with so and so." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." Things have been going well for me up until that point. And so I went and met with this person off campus, just someone that I had known from the 12 program. And he sat me down. He's like, "Ed, they were going to fire you." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, they were going to fire you, and they were saying this, this, and that." And I was trying to explain myself. He's like, "Don't explain. This is not the time to explain." He said, I'm going to give you 5 things to do. And I've typed them out, and I want you to do these 5 things. Just do these 5 things, and let me know how it goes. And so he gave me this letter. It had 5 action items on it, and this was like things to do daily. And so I was in the process of doing those 5 things every day. And I really had no idea where this feedback had come from. I didn't know exactly who it had come from, but I had a really good idea. But the business is too big for you to try to swim against it. So I just did the 5 things. And I didn't argue. And I knew that some powerful people had my back, but I just had to do these 5 things. And that's what I did. And in the process of doing those 5 things, one of them was raise your hand for assignments. And one of them was hand your work over. And if someone doesn't like it, take it back and say, "I'll bring you something better." And that was 2 of the things. And one of the first thing was keep your head down. So I was in the process of keeping my head down, raising my hand, and being really humble about feedback. And so I was at my desk one day, and they were talking about a Kobe versus LeBron thing. And they were like, it was it wasn't even creatives. It was like a strategist and an account person and a media person. And they were like, we can't figure it out. We've been trying to sell this. They won't buy it. And what are we going to do? And I just raised my hand. And I said, "I'll work on it." And they all stopped and looked at me, and they were like, "You'll work on it?" I said, "Yeah, I'll work on it." They're like, "Okay." And they were like, "Here's the brief." And it wasn't like I had the assignment myself. They were still doing whatever they were doing. But I didn't have a partner. It was just me. I was at my desk, and I wrote the first script for that film. It was in that afternoon. It took me about half an hour to write that, and it was called Sexual at the time. And it's not that the film that you see now is not that far from what I wrote. What I wrote was a little more racy, but it had gotten toned down in the process, and that's really how I landed there. Just sitting there feeling kind of dejected, not sure how I had landed in this place. I came all the way out to Portland, Oregon. Was beefing with my wife every day. My kids are back in Baltimore. I'm out here all alone. Got this tiny little apartment. Didn't have a place to sit. It was just a bed and a TV. Um,
I know that.
and I don't know anybody. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out with a bang. I'm gonna write this thing right here. And we're gonna see. We're gonna see. And that's how we got there with that particular spot. And the reception was really more than I ever would have imagined. I was sure that they were gonna be like, "Fuck is this? What is this?"
Did you turn it in or did you present it?
I presented it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
there was
right there in the room. It was they were messing with it.
Yeah. The CDs at the time were really, what's the word? Chill is not the right word. They're not chill. Decisive and very critical of everything. They had seen a lot, but apparently they had not seen a porno for LeBron before.
Let's give it a quick watch.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Dave.
Say hello to Sir Charles.
Hey, Sir Charles.
Baby, you look good.
Thanks, babe.
Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
I got something for you. Show my appreciation and my love to you.
Oh, my God.
I know you would. Like that. Go ahead and take that paper out of there. Let's see what they smell like. They smell good?
They smell real good.
I know.
Baby, you are so good to me.
Hold on, baby. Over and under. Yeah, I know I'm good to you, baby, but I'm not perfect.
Babe.
Close, but I ain't. I got something else for you.
Oh, my gosh, babe.
What have been the things that has influenced your work?
I love comedy. Like it's just something that I always immerse myself in. And no matter what form it came in, whether I was reading Dave Barry, which you probably never heard of, or watching Seinfeld or Martin, anything Jamie Foxx did, I thought was funny, but I also grew up on a bunch of, old white comedy TV shows when I was a kid, because that was all that was on TV back in the, early 80s. So my comedic background was very varied. So I brought a lot of influences with me when I wrote things that I thought were funny. And I wouldn't at all call it code switching. It was just part of my identity that a joke is a joke is a joke. And I think that finding the appropriate place for the appropriate joke was kind of the important thing. And for whatever reason, I thought at the time, just having Kobe be the straight man or be the comic relief in this film about these brothers who just think, Nikes is dumb. And Kobe ended up being the kind of representative was just, it was just kind of a very clear joke to me. And that was my style of writing. It was my way of thinking. And I didn't consciously sit down and think, oh, I'm going to craft this joke this way. It's just the way it came out.
Something that was told to me, it was like, be hard on the work and soft on the people. Do you feel like good work can get made that way?
I'm telling you, man, that's how I was raised in advertising. My CDs were really hard on the work, but they were really kind to us. Like always, it was always humanity first. It was like, go eat, go get some sleep, go home, take a break, rest, come back, we'll do it again tomorrow. They were very kind to us and they treated us like humans, and it was gracious and amazing. But the work, but I got to tell you, I have all of my scripts that I've ever written. there's gotta be 3 million dead scripts in there. Um, they killed everything. Everything died. Everything. Like every time I brought something in, it died. It was like, nah, we've seen this. Nope, that's not you. Is that how we know you? That's not how you, right? Why is this? It was just it was always dying. But the way that they treated us always made me want to come back with more. It's like, hey, that's cool. We're gonna go back to the lab. We're gonna come back with something hot. So that was what am I? I was at Wieden for just about 15 years. So I became a CD, and I tried to apply the same treatment that I received to the young creators that I was working with. Man, that shit ain't work at all. That shit ain't work at all. I was trying to be really kind to these younglings.
Yo, for real.
And they thought, but I was really hard on the work because I thought that's what it takes. It's like I'm trying not to be an asshole about it, but I would tell them, I'd be really direct with them, like, this isn't good enough, right? And I know you, and I know what your writing style is. I think that you can come back with this, and this. And I would always give examples and try to apply the same grace that I was given to the feedback and give actual direction. It's like, not just tell them this doesn't work, but say, this doesn't work, but you could do this, or go look at this, or try this. Man, you would have thought that I was calling people out their names. I was kicking babies. People was not feeling my style. And I was like, who's CDing better than this? I'm the nicest motherfucker out here. And I would get called, the ECD would call me in and be like, we got a complaint about you. And I was like, a complaint about what? And it just turns out that it's very difficult, at least the people that I had at Wieden, to be really hard on the work and kind to the people. I tried my best.
Now, what does it take? What do you think it takes to actually like survive, get into that door, stay in, and stay hungry?
Man, that's a good question. Times have changed and expectations have changed. But I will always believe that there should be some aspects, some talent. You should have some talent. I think talent is important, but I think the most important thing is that you have a point of view. You got to have a point of view. You got to have something to say. You got to care about something. You got to love something. You got to hate something. You got to have a point of view. And I think if you don't have that, then you're disposable. You're replaceable. No one needs you. They can remove you and next man up without a second thought. But without a point of view, you're just a pair of hands, right? You're just executing what I told you to do. And I know that there are some places where that's just the job. It's like, there are CDs that I work with who they had a point of view, and then the creators just had to do what they wanted them to do. I just think that's a waste of brilliant minds. My CDs never wrote anything. If I could come to a check-in 10 times and never nail it, they would never jump in and write it. They'd be like, no, keep going. I'm like, yeah, but the presentation is like in 2 days. They're like, we'll push it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always, it was a sink or swim mentality. But they always knew that I had a point of view on the assignment. And they were looking for that. And if I didn't bring that, then it was always like, keep going. Why are you writing like this? Who is this? They should say, I could ask Caleb to write this, and he would do a better job. And they were right. So I think my thing with young creatives is always, man, you gotta have a point of view. You gotta unleash that hate, that thing deep inside of you where you're like, man, this is some bullshit. There's a lot of honesty that'll come out of hate. A lot of honesty. And I'm not saying that love won't get you there, but it's more of an affectionate emotion. But hate is
It'll get you.
Ah,
It'll get
it'll
you.
get you. It'll get you something. And I've always done well when I hated something. Whenever I had to work on something that I didn't like, I was like, man, you're gonna get something out of me today because I really don't like this. And I've worked on a lot of things that I did not like, especially on Nike. Uh, and uh, it always brought something out of me. And once that thing started bubbling up, I got to a point where I learned how to craft it. I learned how to shape it and mold that that energy, those emotions into something that a client could buy and understand and see, owning. Um, and I think that
I hate it.
I
That's some deep shit. Like you gotta hate it. You gotta find that dark side.
I
You gotta
I
hate it.
think
Yeah, you said dark side. I said hate, but like
I tell people both. I'm like, you can't be a Jedi here.
Hmm.
Being a Jedi in advertising ain't gonna get you that far. Maybe for those people, but I was like, maybe for those hard gainers like me, you gotta hate something. You gotta find that emotion, and hate will reveal emotions very, very quickly. But if you're sitting around thinking, man, I love Nike so much, I want to write the best Nike. Like, man, fuck that. You ain't gonna write nothing great. All
Mm.
you're gonna do is talk about how much you love Nike, and you're gonna be all like, oh, Nike's so
Yeah,
cool. I'm
boy.
gonna write cool stuff. It's like, nah, you gotta be like, here is a thing that Nike does that I don't like, and I wish they did better.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
wish they talked about it in a better way. I'm gonna help them say this in a way where the streets is gonna respond because they ain't really talking about the truth right now. And I'm gonna bring it out, and I'm gonna see what the streets got to say about that. Um, I I I like the feelings that brings up in me. Um, I like mining that emotion for work, and I've been doing it long enough, like I said, where I know how to craft that and mold it, um, and give it to you in a way that you look at it and be like, I want to make that. I want to make this big old ball of hate.
Appreciate you being with us, man, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for organizing this. I think this is super dope. I hope the crowd grows, and I hope that you bring in some people that have some incredible things to share. But I think this is an amazing idea and platform.
Thanks for tuning in to Who's Not Here. We had a great conversation. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Peace.